Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to our speakers in Europe. Thank you guys for joining us today. Succeed in Germany's healthcare market, focus on the German OTC, or over-the-counter medication, self-medication market, or non-prescription drug market. My name is Omar Oweiss. I'm the Director of Investor Consulting at Germany Trade Invest in Washington, D.C., and I'm coming to you live out of Washington, D.C. For our next webinar of our series. For those of you new to us, Germany Trade Invest, real quick, is the foreign trade and inward investment promotion agency of Germany. We're funded and mandated by the German government to help international companies establish their business operations in Germany and succeed in the German market. We have a whole series of publications and information, as well as some services that we can cater to your needs. Here you just see a quick overview of some of our industry information, as well as our investment guide to Germany, how to succeed in the German market and set up in the German. Some of these services include, but are not limited to, as I said, market and industry information, as well as reports. We can guide you in market entry analysis, provide you with tax and legal information, as well as some funding and financing opportunities in Germany if you qualify. We can introduce you to some partners, find you appropriate partners, and last but not least, give you a comparison of different sites within Germany, whether it's different states or different metropolitan regions or different clusters. We have all that information for you. Again, it's free of charge. We're funded by the German government, and we are really an information resource about Germany, and we are eager to help you. Anyone who has questions about Germany Trade Invest can contact me, of course, after the webinar. But you've joined us today, obviously not just to hear me speak, because we have a great lineup of speakers for you. Again, you're joining us for the Germany's Healthcare Market webinar. This is the second one of the year. As you see here, we had one on the German hospital market, and we have two more coming up later on this year, so do stay tuned. You can find all that information at the URL at the bottom there, gtai.com/succeed in German healthcare. That URL is on every slide of this presentation. We are not new to this webinar series. It was very successful last year as well. Again, here's just some highlights of some of the webinars we've recorded, and you can find all that information, again, on that website, presentations, live stream, bios of the speakers, et cetera, et cetera. Today's agenda, today's agenda begins with my colleague, Ms. Melanie Wiegand, in our Berlin headquarters, Germany Trade Invest. She'll give us a kind of a bird's eye view of the overall out-of-pocket health expenditures in Germany, of which, of course, OTC is an important part of. She'll be followed by Ms. Theresa Kretschmer from IMS Health out of Frankfurt. She'll go a little bit more into detail specifically to the German OTC, over-the-counter or non-prescription market. And she'll be followed by her colleague, Mr. Gerhard Müller from IMS Health. He'll give a little bit more information about entry strategies and challenges and some differences to the German market as opposed to your home market, wherever that may be. There will be a Q&A session at the end. My hope and my idea is obviously not to interrupt the speakers. We'll let them present their presentations. But you can ask questions throughout the session without interrupting the speakers. I will be able to collect those and see those. You can do that with your question or chat option. Again, it will come straight to the moderator, and you will not interrupt any of the speakers. At this point, I'd like to begin with our first speaker, Ms. Melanie Wiegand, Senior Manager of Investor Consulting on the Chemicals and Healthcare team, one of the four major teams we have. And at this point, I would like to transfer the rights to her so she can begin her presentation.
Thank you very much, Omar. So how's the connection?
I hear you loud and clear, and I do see your screen, so it's all yours. Thank you, Melanie.
You see my full screen? No. Now, do you see my screen?
Yep, it's all yours.
No, sorry, we have to change it. We have to change this way. Okay. So, good morning and good afternoon. This is Melanie Wiegand speaking from Germany Trade and Invest. I'm located here in Berlin near the Brandenburger Gate, and the topic for today's webinar is the German consumer healthcare market. I would like to invite you on a very short helicopter ride over the out-of-pocket healthcare market in order to understand where the OTC market is located in the health expenditure landscape. And this is a very short agenda I've prepared for you today. So you will hear something about healthcare expenditures in Germany, the out-of-pocket healthcare market, the core target group, and market opportunities in the healthcare sector. So please stay with me for the next 10 minutes. Annual German healthcare spending totals more than 300 billion euro and 260 billion euros generated primarily by the core healthcare market. We call the core healthcare market the first market in German, or der erste Gesundheitsmarkt. Products and services in this market are mainly paid by health insurance providers. So typical services are hospital services or if you go to the physician. So from a marketing standpoint, in this market, you first target health professionals like doctors, nurses, and pharmacies. Then we have a second market. We call the second market der zweite Gesundheitsmarkt, and it's the out-of-pocket healthcare market with more than 40 billion euro. So from a marketing standpoint, in this market, your first target group are the consumers. Strategy-wise, we have two markets that have two different rules. Our focus for today, so follow the green line, is the out-of-pocket healthcare market. And this market takes all of the products and services into consideration that households pay out of their own pocket. So what is the OECD definition of the household, of the household out-of-pocket expenditure on health? This expenditure comprises cost sharing, self-medication, and other expenditures. So you can see here, self-medication is one part of the out-of-pocket expenditures on health here in Germany. The market totals more than 40 billion euro. You can see here the development over the last years, and there is a compounded annual growth rates of 4%. So there is very clearly an increasing healthcare expenditure trend over the last years. And now the question is, how are these 40 billion euros structured? So again, follow the green line. The healthcare expenditure of private households and non-profit organizations are structured in the following subsegments. So you can see here prevention, medical services, caring and therapeutic services, board and lodging, products, and transportation. And within products, the category non-prescription medicine is covered. And this is the blue area you can see here. This represents 40% of the healthcare expenditures of private households and non-profit organizations. And these 40% corresponds to the 17 billion euro in Germany. Now the question is, what is the out-of-pocket spending per adult per year in Germany? It is more than 900 euro, and this is a very huge sum, especially when you consider that nearly all Germans, so 99.8%, have a health insurance. And according to a representative study, the willingness to pay for healthcare in future is 27%. Who is the core target group in the German healthcare market? The core target group is the generation 50+. In Germany, more than 40% of the German population is 50+ years old, and this target group is responsible for more than 50% of the consumer spending in Germany. Again, follow the green lines on the right side, the green dotted lines. You can see this is the share of consumer spending. You can see in the year 2005 it has been 52%, and there's clearly an increasing trend for future. So the generation 50+ is a very, very important target group, and healthcare is also the only consumer market where senior citizens spend more money than the average. The generation 65+ generates about 50% of all direct healthcare costs. The demographic change in Germany, and also, very important, the medical and technological progress influence the strong dynamic on all of these segments you can see here. So from healthcare ingredients, pharma, e-health, medtech, preventative healthcare, and of course self-medication. So today, let's end our brief helicopter ride and focus on a very interesting subsegment, the self-medication segment with 7 billion euro sales. So I hope to see you very soon in Germany in the Friedrichstraße, and I hand you back to Omar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie. Wonderful as always. Great. Our next speaker is Ms. Theresa Kretschmer from IMS Health, and she's coming to you live out of Frankfurt. She's Senior Manager of Key Accounts in Central Europe, and I will go ahead and ask her to give her presentation at this point. Thank you.
So thank you so much for the kind introduction. Can everyone, or can you see my screen?
I see your screen and I hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm very delighted. Hello again to everyone. I'm very delighted to present to you today something about the German OTC market. And for setting this scene at the beginning, I would like to start with comparing OTC with traditional pharma market and why at the moment it is so exciting to be in the OTC market. So we are experiencing an increasing pressure in the pharmaceutical market at the moment, as generics have an important stake in key therapy areas, and research and development productivity remains very critical. Payers become increasingly restrictive in granting market access, and then on the other hand, we have this very positive dynamic in the OTC sector. We have an ongoing liberalization and new distribution channels. This improves product access and companies expanding opportunities for RX to OTC switches. And the leaders are building strong brand identities. And especially in Germany, so we have also the situation that payers increasingly encouraging self-medication. So due to this opportunity in the OTC markets, more companies have been actively reconsidering their presence in this key consumer health segment. We had historically the trend that many players have been on the trip to divest their consumer health activities. Especially in Germany since 2004, we had a lot of healthcare reforms aiming to reduce healthcare costs and improving stability of the sick funds, and then more and more encourage the consumer to self-medicate. I think it takes some while to shift the slide.
Try to just click on the screen one more time on the actual presentation and try again.
Okay. Okay. So now I would like to say something about the definition of OTC in general. So we have on the one side, the pharmaceuticals are classified as prescription only and non-prescription. And non-prescription drugs are sold either in pharmacies only or are available for general sale. So whether or not a medicine is classified as pharmacy only or general sale depends on its active ingredient, indication, dosage form, and route of administration. So since April 2004, in Germany, the non-prescription drugs have been excluded from reimbursement unless the product necessary to treat several conditions and where the non-prescription is the standard therapy. As an example, the high doses calcium for osteoporosis. And another exception that drugs for children under 12 years are reimbursed. So as you can see, these exceptions are here in this blue, dark blue area, bought with restriction. So on the next slide, you can see there's the main channel for OTC is still the retail pharmacy. So only pharmacies are allowed to sell prescription and pharmacy-only OTC drugs. However, general sale OTC drugs may also be sold by drugstores and non-pharmacy outlets. Example given the supermarkets. So multiple pharmacy ownership, as you know, the pharmacy chains, for instance, in UK or in the US, is not allowed within Germany. So you can only have one main store and up to 3 affiliates. But the formation of more than these pharmacies is prohibited. Since the healthcare reform in 2004, mail order delivery and e-pharmacy were approved. The sales through mail order channel were and are far more dynamics in terms of the growth. I will show you later on some figures about the dynamic of the mail order channel. The numbers of pharmacies in Germany have been stable at around 21,500 pharmacies. However, since 2013, the number dropped below 21,000. And this is also due to the new models that appear in this pharmacy channel, due to mail order and also pharmacy cooperatives. While the formation of pharmacy chains is prohibited, pharmacy can create and join pharmacy cooperatives. It's some kind of virtual chain. In total, 75% of all pharmacies are members of such a formation, and there are different types. We have not very large national networks, sometimes involving a wholesaler as Silisio or Gehe, such as Gesund Leben, with approximately 2,600 members, and they benefit through centralizing their purchasing power. And on the other hand, we have medium-sized networks which organize joint marketing activities and sell cooperative and have sometimes also private label brands. So on the next slide, I show you the price gap between the retail pharmacy or typical retail pharmacy and the mail order channel for some of the leading products within the German OTC market. With the appearance of mail order channel, price transparency were putting pressure on the pharmacy price. Mail order pharmacies offering prices up to 40% below the average of pharmacy pricing. The price gap between retail and mail order channel are still very high for leading brands as Kribostat, Iberogast, and Voltaren. Generally, or basically, the healthcare reform in 2004 introduced free pricing for non-prescription medicine, and markups for non-reimbursable products can be decided freely. The new mail order channel also puts pressure on the retail pharmacies, and more they are using also OTC price discounting to attract the business for consumers. So on the next slide, I would like to show you the size of the total OTC market in Germany at the moment. And as you can see, it's 8.5 billion euro at the moment. And you see that still the retail pharmacy has the biggest stake with about 77% of the total OTC market. So the German OTC market is fairly mature, but has achieved positive growth in the last 2 years. The overall performance is very much depending on the cough and cold season, which was pretty good, especially in 2013. So the highest dynamic growth you can see comes from the pharmacy mail order, and the mass market within Germany has a very, very low stake due to the reason that only food supplement or non-medicines can be sold over this channel. So on the next slide, I would like to give you an overview about the leading manufacturers at the moment in the German OTC market And as you can see, it is relatively fragmented. So the top 10 companies represent about 45 total share, leading companies with Novartis and Bayer as multinational players, followed by domestic players as Klosterfrau, which you can see is performing quite bad at the moment due to being highly dependent on a very good cough and cold season. In general, it's a very, very successful domestic player within Germany. So Klosterfrau is followed by Teva, Ratiopharm, and Boehringer. And on the next slide, you can see the top 20 brands within the German OTC market, and the leading position is Voltaren, pain reliever of Novartis Consumer Health, now GSK, after the merger, and it's still the number 1, followed by aspirin, still experiencing negative growth. On rank 3, there is a very successful herbal respiratory remedy from Bionorica, who could accelerate in growth in the past years and climb several ranks. Bepanthen performs very well, and under the leading top 10, we have also Krivostat as a domestic brand from Stada, continues to make progress. So this is, a brief introduction in the German OTC market. Yes, thank you so much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions afterwards.
And thank you to you, Theresa. It's very helpful to see some of the major players and some of the major projects that are successful in Germany. So thank you. We are coming to our final presentation. Again, stay tuned with us. Following this presentation from Mr. Gerhard Müller, we will have an open forum Q&A where you can speak and communicate with our speakers today. Mr. Müller is the Principal Commercial Effectiveness Services of Central Europe as well at IMS Health in Frankfurt, and he will give us a little more information about the entry strategies into the OTC market in Germany.
Yeah, thank you very much, Omar, and thank you for having me on the panel, and hello and good morning to everybody listening in the US and anywhere else in the world. I work as a principal in the commercial effectiveness practice of IMS Health in Central Europe, and I would like to go a little bit more into detail about market entry strategies for Germany. Of course, every aspect certainly depends on your specific case. However, I would like to lay out a few interesting principles and examples that make Germany different, especially in comparison to the US. So what will we be looking at? Oh, I now have the same problem. First, you will need the right product in the right categories for our consumer. And for this, we need to look at the consumer first, especially at his decision-making process. And this is important as you might want to influence its decision-making process. And you need to know where to start. Then we will dive deeper into categories and have a closer look at channel dynamics, especially what is happening with mail order or pharmacies depending on different categories. You might want to ask some questions later on about your specific categories you want to bring to Germany. Next, we will have a general look at your required investments. And this can be typical public advertising on one side, but you might also have to invest in sales in a sales organization serving your main business partners, the pharmacies. As this is very different to the US, where you have mainly key accounts, we will have a closer look at this too. And finally, we will talk about setting up a sales organization in the correct way and ensure you get back the maximum return on your investment. Let's start with the consumer. You can see here a model with different influencing factors of the consumer for the decision for a certain product. The numbers given are illustrative but might represent a specific product. I'll explain how it works. The numbers, first we have a certain number of consumers who know their product very well. We have it here on the top. They are happy about how it works and will use it over and over again when the need comes up. They might even recommend it to friends and family, which is shown here as word of mouth. Also, the consumer might not need it for a longer time and try another product in between, and these might then be inactive users. But the very important for you is how the patient would decide for a new product. And this is always the case when the customer is new to a specific category or just simply needs more advice. Here we will find three main drivers. First, the physician. Second, pharmacist. And third, public advertising or direct-to-consumer promotion. This might work over different channels, TV, newspapers and magazine, radio, or out-of-home campaigns. Important is to know that doctors might still play a role, depending on category, and that pharmacists are typically the most important factor in getting new patients on a product. This is very important. The pharmacist is our main client. Once products are out in mass market, consumers do no longer get advice from the healthcare professional. Compared to the US, for example, painkillers are still pharmacy only. As Theresa said, the most of the market is still pharmacy only. They cannot be sold in the mass market. You can drive 150 miles on a German autobahn and would have no safety problem whatsoever. But if you would have a massive safety problem if you were able to buy a simple painkiller without the advice of a pharmacist. So this is the German thinking, different. And regarding physicians, it is important to know that they generally cannot prescribe OTC products and get paid by national healthcare providers. Exceptions are the prescriptions for children, as Theresa said, and a few more. Nevertheless, a doctor can still write a private prescription or a so-called green prescription, which are basically recommendations for the patient to buy a certain OTC product at the pharmacy. So still, there are a few sales forces out to promote OTC products at doctors. However, this is only a fraction of what it was many years ago, and it still might pay off for certain categories, but it depends on size and has to be tested individually. The main focus of German OTC companies is on pharmacies. Pharmacies generally are highly appreciated with German consumers. They trust and rely on their advice on OTC products. The whole team of pharmacists is generally well trained. Pharmaceutical safety is an often discussed issue in German media, and the German public generally is reluctant to trust big pharma, so they appreciate the advice of their local pharmacist. We will speak later about what is important to set up an effective sales force serving the pharmacist. Regarding consumer promotion, we will also speak later on. Let's have a closer look at the different categories now. I have built in a little German puzzle here, as the category names are still in German, but basically the biggest is cough and cold. And what you see here is the differentiation. Here we have the total sales volume of 1.6 billion euros. The total market is 7.5 billion. So another billion has to be added from outside the pharmacy. That's what we have seen in Theresa's slide, but we are focusing now on pharmacy only. However, this is to be differentiated between store sales and mail order, and you can see that here, the differentiation. And you can see in these columns the growth rates of store pharmacy and outside pharmacy. and mail order pharmacy. Let's go on with the categories. So this was cough and cold. The second one is painkillers, including topical preparations. And the third category is all about digestive issues. The fourth category is vitamins and minerals. Bigger part of these would be also able to be found outside pharmacies. And finally, the fifth most important category is skin products. And here we speak only about medical indications and not classic skincare like face and body care. This would be a separate topic, which is also very strong in pharmacy, but not included here as we focus on OTC today. Important to know for you is that though pharmacy is the most important channel in OTC, and you want to be there, it is not really growing. Growth comes mainly from mail order pharmacy, but this is more or less only a shift from one channel to the other. You can still split this into smaller and more targeted categories, and you will find more specific growth patterns. Also, growth depends on seasons. In winter 2014-15, we had an exceptional cough and cold season which brought significant growth to the category and to the total OTC market eventually overall. But this is not reflected in these 2014 figures. Generally, we can say that in every category there is a broad range of brands and products, and there is still some concentration process to come. Some brands exist with very little public advertising, but there is a clear trend towards bigger brands. Also, the market urgently needs innovations, and real innovations can bring it forward, but they are rare. So it would be great if you can bring great products to the German market, and it would certainly be appreciated. Now let's talk about investments. We generally see that some top players and also new entries have to spend heavily on advertising to see their brands grow. Spending can easily outgrow sales significantly, especially for new entries. The big question is, what is sustainable and what is not? Recently, we have seen a new cough and cold product that has spent millions in advertising, but only seen a fraction of that in sales. For this is important for you not only to thoroughly analyze the product features, advantages, value proposition, and USPs of the product, but also have a closer look at total spending per category and products before entering a market. When you have a very special product, though, you might be able to enter a much smarter and special route via PR to get articles in newspapers or national magazines. You might not be able to perform all kinds of guerrilla marketing, especially with a pharmaceutical product and all the legal behind it, but you might find good ways with a great product and limited budget. The pharmacist will at least be demanding some sort of advertising of support for the product before you can bring it into his shelves. Finally, let's have a closer look at this pharmacist. In Germany, as already said, we have around 20,500 independent pharmacists. Pharmacy chains are not allowed, and you might think this is some kind of medieval thing, but it's actually true for larger parts of continental Europe. This means in our case, you get your message through. To get your message through, you might want to call on many different pharmacies. The big question is, how many pharmacies do you want to visit, and which are the biggest pharmacies, meaning the pharmacies really worth visiting? But let's start from the beginning. We need first a good sales forecast, and to get that, we need some proper product investigation and market research. Based on that, we should be able to understand the consumer and get the message right to him. This is the same anyway as you would do in any other country. But then you would face the discussion whether you would like to work with a distribution partner who has got the entire infrastructure and will market your products and this directly into the German market, or as an alternative, build your own sales organization. If you build your own sales force, you would need to know what the right size is. Here you can work with different models based on your sales forecast. Targeting the right pharmacies might be a little bit more difficult. On the diagram on the top right, there are all pharmacies ranked along the total sales volume for your category. Okay, you see this over here. And this might be your market potential. On the y-axis, you see the total cumulated market potential on this graph here. So let's say if you visited randomly 17% of pharmacies, then you would achieve from these 17% of pharmacies roughly 17% of sales. If you target the right highest potential pharmacies, as in this case, you would achieve 42% of total market potential. So this can make a huge difference. It's currently not possible to know all the right pharmacies, but there are some smart ways to get as close as possible. Then you need to get a complete package for your sales reps, beginning from in-store promotions up to discount and bonus conditions for the pharmacists. And you want to incentivize your teams and partners. You might want to work with cooperatives as described by Theresa. They can support your sales activities and want to be rewarded. Please have an eye on their performance and only reward them on their performance. Finally, you would review your success. You might want to check your specific return on investment, for example, on the sales force size, as described here, and drive respective conclusions for the future of your business. So the whole topic is much more complex. This is a first glance and should do it for now. I'm looking forward to your questions and thank you very much for listening.
And thank you very much, Gerhard, for your presentation as well. That's 3 excellent presentations. Now it is time for our open forum Q&A. Please, I've already received some questions, so thank you to our attendees. Please use your control panel, the question or chat feature to send me some more. But I already have the first one here, and I hope that my speakers are ready. First question, can traditional Chinese medicine or Japanese Kampo medicine register as OTC in Germany? And a follow-up to that, and can such products be covered by an insurance policy? Perhaps a question for IMS.
I think at this stage we cannot certainly not give legal advice on registering a product, but generally you can say the question is whether it is really a prescription-bound medicine or a real medicine. Then you would have to go through the regular registration process, you need to check out depending on the case. But if you send me an email later, we can really find out what would be the best route for you.
And maybe I can add that in the German OTC market has also a big stake, the herbal or phyto market. So we have a lot of very successful domestic brands here. So the consumer knows or uses these kind of products, natural or phyto products, all the time and is very convinced about the efficacy. So it would be a very good market to launch such a product. But as as Gerhard said, the registration process is something that we are not aware of at the moment for such a product.
Absolutely, but there is a clear trend, as Theresa said. We have a very open-minded public here who are open to traditional Chinese medicine.
Thank you to both of you. Next question. Theresa, you talked a little bit about pharmacy cooperatives. The question here is, what do you mean exactly with them, and what are they doing? Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on the cooperatives?
Yeah, it is, as said in the presentation, in Germany, it's not allowed to have pharmacy chains, and so the retail pharmacies try to centralize their purchasing power and try to optimize their marketing activities. And these kind of formations, these cooperatives that are mainly supported by big wholesalers, they provide them a professional way to be more professional in terms of marketing and so on.
Thank you.
Yeah, they are generally an association of legally and economically independent pharmacies. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. There was another question here. Melanie, you talked a little bit about the golden agers, or the 50-plus generation. If I want to be successful in Germany, what do I have to consider when targeting them?
So for all the consumers, in general, I think use the view of older people as a magnifying glass for your product development and, of course, for your communication. If you have understood how this very important target group feels, how they do decisions, then you will easily target all other consumers as well. If you now would like to clearly target all the consumers, understand them, identify their needs, and then start product development. And from a communication standpoint, be simple, be clear. I mean, that's important for all target groups. And I think one aspect is really important. Never talk about, for example, a senior vitamin pill. So, for example, talk about a pill for bone generation. And you can position this product, for example, under the segment generation 50 plus in the pharmacies.
Great, thank you. Next question here. What is the cost and expected time to complete the OTC product registration? I think, Gerhard, you had talked a little bit about this, and maybe some of you know, or at least can point this attendee in the right direction. Cost and expected time for the... Sure, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, for project registration, I think we cannot give legal advice, but we have to, probably, Omar, we can send you some direction later on to distribute it to the panel or to the...
Maybe I can maybe I can add an estimate. So what I heard in the industry, it's pretty much easier to launch a non-drug OTC or a food supplement. It takes roundabout, or you can have it within 6 months. And if it is a medicine, it could take up to 2 years. But as Gerhard said, we need to prove this and send you some information afterwards.
So I will ask the attendees and those individuals who have asked those registration questions to please follow up with me post-webinar. You'll find my email shortly. Next question here. Are there medical technology OTC products, such as blood pressure or glucose level measures, product in Germany, and where are those sold? So medtech OTC products, where can I find those?
I think you... Okay, Gerhard.
Go ahead, please.
I think this is really a very special channel within Germany, so you can buy it directly in point of sale in the pharmacy, But there is a huge channel, it's called Sanitätshaus. Actually, I do not know. Sanitätshaus. But it's
there are specific stores for this patient care product.
Yes. Exactly. And on the other hand, also in the mass market channel. But if I would need to give a ranking, I would say Sanitätshaus, house, then pharmacy shop, and then the mass market. And the mail order, for sure. They have special mail order shops for this specific product.
Great. Yes, you had talked about the mail order in your presentation as well, and how that's really grown. Thank you. Next question here. Is the German OTC market the biggest in Europe, and does it offer stronger growth than other major European markets in the next 5 to 10 years? Perhaps a question for my colleague Melanie, or IMS, of course. Anyone?
IMS have the best figures to that, I think.
Where is yours, Melanie?
So I think, as you could see also in my presentation, the German OTC market is quite mature and flat. So we have only small growth rates, but it is really dependent on the successful cough and cold season. And I think it's pretty much similar in the other European countries. But when it comes more to the eastern part of Europe, then you see much higher growth rates, due to people getting better access to healthcare, they are earning more money, so the Eastern European countries, they are experiencing more growth at the moment.
And it's absolutely, I would like to add to that, it's certainly a very big market compared to other European countries, especially for the average price of an OTC pharmaceutical. So you can achieve, still in pharmacy, you can achieve quite high prices compared to mass market. And the main reason is because all the products are behind the shelf, so you often have only little price transparency. So, and the consumer pays for an aspirin significantly more compared to a product for an aspirin in mass market, because you always see the price directly. And this is also a reason why the trend goes to mail order pharmacies in Germany, as these provide significantly lower prices, and you always have a very good price comparison. So in the long term, the question is really, can this high price level be maintained? And this is also a reason why the growth is quite flat.
Thank you. Melanie, you said you had some figures as well, and again, I'm sure we could circulate that if someone follows up either with me or with you following the webinar.
Of course.
Here's another question. Forgive my ignorance, but I don't exactly know what black label use of medicine is, but I'm going to ask it anyway to our experts. What about the facts on using black label use of medicine in Germany? Can anyone work with that black label use?
I don't know.
We can solve this on an individual base and come to you back later.
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Black label, there is off-label use, but I have never heard black label use.
Yeah.
Maybe you can elaborate briefly on off-label, if that's maybe what our attendee is asking.
Yes, there is a certain off-label usage, of course, in the market, but as it is an off-label usage, I think the data to this there is no official data concerning this because it is an off-label use. So, but we can solve this on an individual base again later.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. A couple of questions have come up. Are the presentations available somewhere? Yes, they are. Again, the URL at the bottom of that screen has we'll have a live stream of this webinar. It is being recorded. We'll have the presentations, and it has full bios of our speakers as well as previous webinars as well. Great. Let me see a couple other questions here. I apologize. I have to consolidate them a little bit. Maybe someone can address what is the best way to launch my OTC product in the German healthcare market?
Okay, this is Melanie speaking. Well, there's no really, there is no best way, but there's always an individual approach. First, you have to be very clear who is your target group, what are their needs, and then you have to be very clear how your product is the unique solution or the answer for a specific need. There are several ways to launch or to market your product. You can directly target the consumer, you can target the professionals, or you can do a combined approach. It really depends on your target and on your strategy.
Yeah, and you might want to have a distribution partner first, so this might be one choice, and there should be several available in Germany.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Please use your chat feature. I think we've addressed them at this point so far. Maybe I ask one more to the panel here. There was a talk about cost sharing. I believe that was in Melanie's presentation. Cost sharing in the out-of-pocket healthcare market. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. Cost sharing. Yeah, it's one part within the out-of-pocket healthcare market. For example, for medication, for prescribed medication and for medical aids, there is a certain amount that have to be additionally paid by the patient. It's around 10% for prescribed medication, 10% of the price to market. So this is the part which is standing behind cost sharing. It's one part of the out-of-pocket healthcare market.
Thank you, Melanie. Another question here. How does one find a distribution partner for an OTC product in Germany? Maybe a question for IMS.
We do not really normally not support or help or help find distribution partners, but we could certainly do that or work on that, or you might Google that, and there are several certainly available. If there are, I don't want to mention names here, but we can talk about this offline.
Well, maybe I can chime in here real quick. Depending, of course, where this person is asking from. I mean, from the American perspective, there is the United States Commercial Service, part of the Department of Commerce, which is aimed at, of course, assisting U.S. companies succeeding internationally. And they do have a service that allows you to find specific distributors. That is at times also a bit of a limitation for Germany Trade Invest to find a specific distributor. But nevertheless, we're happy to point you in that direction as well. That might be a good avenue to pursue as well.
Great.
The question just came in. Sure, no problem. Another question just came in. Said Ms. Kretschmer mentioned non-drug products. May I have more information about that? Non-drug products. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, non-drug products are products like food supplements, vitamins, or nutrition. Yeah, that do not have or that are not registered. Yeah, yeah, and also very important in the pharmacy is cosmetic or beauty products. Yeah, that are exclusively sold within the retail pharmacy. That's also a good business within Germany, and the products have a great markup. Yeah, but they can be registered quite easily. Yeah, because they are because they are non-drug products. Yeah. And you can have a great markup.
Thank you, Theresa, for that clarification. We are just about at the end of our time, actually. I just wanted to pull up one more slide real quick. Again, there is my contact information. I know that some of the attendees wanted to follow up with either me or with some of our speakers directly following the webinar. Their bios, the presentations, and this live stream will be posted on the website. So at this point, I just wanted to thank our excellent panelists, our excellent speakers for their informative presentations, and really hope you found it interesting. Thank you for your questions. I hope that we were able to answer the majority of them. We didn't address them all, but we hope we were obviously able to answer them satisfactorily. So thank you, and have a great evening in Germany and a great day elsewhere.
Thank you very much.
you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.